So let's get down to business. I'm not only offended, I am shocked, I'm sickened, I'm quite ill, and I'm $5.99 less rich because I just rented the Craft Legacy. And being a sort of Wiccan myself, I thoroughly enjoyed the craft, the original story. It was quite amazing. It was something that we haven't gotten in a long time. And another thing, we haven't really gotten black witches. We've gotten voodoo queens from the bayou, but we have not gotten black witches. Name another black witch. I think there's a black witch maybe, and I don't even think she's black. I think she's Indian, and she's like got this grandma. It's like a animated series that I don't know. I don't watch it, but it's like on Cartoon Network. But we don't get black witches a lot. And I was really cool, just was so cool. And the storyline, it's just like, you can't go wrong with reality. And that's the reality. If y'all know the storyline from the first one, I will do a craft video. I know I said I was going to do like a dog video, but I just watched this movie and it's like, I have to do that. I have to speak on it. I have to speak on it. We have to, this has to be well known. Because I've seen the craft reviews, and I haven't really, I was like, okay, I wasn't prepared for what I saw. Those didn't prepare me. So I'm going to prepare y'all if you're ever going to, wait for it to be free. Because I literally waited for it, because it was, on Amazon Prime, and it was, for buy, and you could not do anything but buy it. And now it's for rent, and that's the only reason why I watched it, because it was for rent. So before we even get started on the whole story of it all, there's this woman in this movie. Her name is Zoe Luna. On cable, as we speak right now, as it stands, she is omitted from the cast list on cable. She's transgender. Are you serious? Of course, she's in the end, she's credited. She's also credited on IMDb or whatever it's called. But she's not credited on cable. So that's strange. I think her character's name is Lourdes. I'm just going to call her Lord because I don't know how to say that name. Let me get to the next thing. The main character, Lily equals water. Yeah, that's pretty on the nose for air, earth, water, fire thing. That's okay, you can do that if you want to, but don't keep talking about it if you're going to name her Lily, okay? Because we get it. She's water. We get it. She's water. So, not a good main character, at least not a leading lady. She can't cry on cue. She's not energetic. The main lady of the original cast, Sarah, was very plain and melancholy, mediocre. But she could act scared. She could act upset. She could act pleased. Now, I'm not going to say she acted happy because she didn't. Never. She acted pleased. And that was fine because she had other characters to bounce off of because they actually had different things in their life that was going on. If you have to see the first one before you see this one, girl tripping. I will tell you who tripping, but girl tripping talking about, oh, this craft is our generation. It's not your generation's craft. You need to calm down. You're 22 years old. But anyway, Lily's actress cannot convey any emotion. She could not cry on cue. She just is very not good. I haven't seen her in anything else. If I have, I didn't recognize her. She did a very poor job. It could very well be the director that told her to be that way, but it is a very poor job, and she is not as erratic as Nancy. And if you're going to make it seem like she's the odd one out and she got kicked out of the circle, and enough pushback from everyone, and she would not tell her mom. By the way, if I can't get into it. I can't get into it because I don't want to spoil it for later, but the way things go, it's just like they could have did so much better with Lily. Lily is like a lily flower, like dainty, but they could have made her like stronger, especially since you're gonna have this incel loser be the antagonist and be the foil for her goodness. But whatever, dude. Why ask about lineage if no one's background or bloodline matters? Like, they don't even talk about, they just say, oh, what's your lineage? What you know? And they only do that to set up that she's adopted. But they don't talk about anything. Like, if you're going to do this, I would have been fine with her being into voodoo. I would have been fine. I would have been fine with some Hispanic magic, you know? I would have been fine with some eye stuff. I would have been fine with the watchful eye or whatever they call it. Honestly, I would have been 100% fine with it. You could have even had that one of the girls be Asian and she could have had some Asian magic. That would have been cool. But y'all didn't do that. She just has her finger on fire. The black girl has her finger on fire. That's what the magic she gets. Lighter fingers that you can use a lighter for. Like, she doesn't do anything spectacular. And her bloodline doesn't matter. She could have been related to Marie Laveau, you know? She could have been something. Something could have been integrated into her situation to where it's not just like a bad situation. Too much blood in that one scene. Heavy flow like that is concerning. I'm not going to talk about it because it's just like whatever. But they pulled a Carrie and Lily has her first period in front of everyone and everyone's making fun of her except the girls. Because, like, why would the girls make fun? It's just like the two guys that are jerks to them. The stepbrother, I think. And even though all these guys are super tall, like, please get guys that are actors. Stop getting your baby cousin roles because he doesn't look aesthetically pleasing around all these girls that are short, okay? I'm sick of the Vince Vaughn situation where it's too tall of a guy and too short of a girl. Y'all get the shortest actresses on the planet Earth to go with these super freakishly tall guys. And if you want to stop the whole thing where you have to block the scene to make it actually look like it fits, like putting things in the background because you obviously see that she's too short for him and they've got to kiss, you know that they've got to kiss, please get an actor that can measure up to her. Like, are you serious? Not everybody's 9'10". What are you going for? I'm not that type of girl that's like, oh, everybody needs to be 6 foot. Like, I'm like 5'6" or whatever. I would like to be comparable heights with my significant other. That'd be nice. But whatever. The makeover doesn't matter because they don't have uniforms. The first one was set in a Catholic school. This school is just a school. No extra no repression. Like, the whole reason why they had magical powers and things were like, just like in Fairly Odd Parents. The Fairly Odd Parents come because the kid's situation is sad. So it was basically kind of like a metaphor. If you were not into the witchcraft stuff and you're so Christianity or whatever, you can just take that as a substitution. You could be like, okay, that represents this represents that. Power equals this. It was women only because it was about women empowerment. But they kind of, even though the director is a woman, the woman who made this, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? They're just ordinary losers. There's no activities. Like, in the original, each girl had either a bad family situation, a bad situation that happened to them, or an after-school activity that added to their struggle. Rachel, the black girl in the first one, was a swimmer. She swam and she dealt with racism among the girls, and her whole storyline that does that. We didn't see her family. Of course not. Of course we're not going to see the black girl's family, right? And if it is, it's going to be like grandma. It's going to be mom somewhere gone or the dad somewhere gone. Can't just be a mom and a dad and everyone be happy. She could have had a happy life at home and a horrible life at school. It doesn't matter. But they didn't even show anything about her family. They showed about that girl living in 8 Mile, Nancy living in right next to Marshall Mathers. Like, but okay. The other girl, we saw her mom, but we didn't see the black girls, anybody. We didn't even see her brother, sister, cousin, uncle. Like, Please. And y'all had the chance to do that on this one, but you so dropped the ball. You dropped the ball. Like, you dropped it and it shattered. You shattered that ball. Just saying. Not only do these girls in this movie not get any info explained about why they use magic, but no one's a cheerleader or in a club or an athlete at all. Like, one of them could have been a cheerleader. What's her face is coming from the Spades or whatever, that movie, that show on like Prime or whatever. She could have been a cheerleader. It could have been a callback to that. She just did that. That's called the same thing. Like, okay, Cameron Diaz was in The Mask, which had a green in it. So what she did was she went into Shrek because it's association. It's casting by association. That's why Jim Carrey has a lot of the same or similar roles. Like, it's not as similar as Adam Sandler, but it's kind of like that because it sells. Like, Adam Sandler movies are the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life, but they sell. They're on all day. I barely see Happy Gilmore, which is one of his best movies, but I see My Father or whatever that stupid movie was with that boy that was what's that dude's name? Dylan and Cole Sprouse, the twins. I see that on more than I see Happy Gilmore, which is disgusting. Ugh. But I digress. We're not talking about that. I'm glad they didn't exactly recite the original's magic words, but I was upset they never went to like a Wiccan store or looked for witches via computer. New updated equals new technology. This is new. This is updated. Like, she could have used her phone. They could have did interviews. The beginning could have been a montage of them looking for their fourth and them giving up, finally seeing this girl. But I can't make your movie for you, ooh, unless you put me on the payroll, yeah. So, the guy who says he was gay, Timmy, I think his name is, should have liked the transgender girl, the transgender witch lord, which would have given more meat to her character other than her minority status. They just be like, I'm transgender. Like, they say that like a few times, and it's just like, okay, like, can being black or being Asian or being transgender or being gay not be the sole thing that you bring to this movie? Can you actually do something else? It would have been interesting for the main character to be exiled and slowly, like, she could have liked that guy, but that guy could have liked the transgender girl, and that could have caused conflict within their situation and would have made them have to talk to each other more other than talking to each other as 3+1, because that's what I saw. I didn't see them interact like actual friends. It was just 3+1 always talking, and it was actually Tabby talking the majority of the time. She was kind of like the leader, which I was happy with. But why is she always speaking for the group? They could have even had the conflict like, oh, don't speak for us anymore. And I kind of would have been annoyed about that because she's dark skinned and they would have made it seem like she was bossy. But you know what? It would have actually been interesting if you did that and actually had more meat to this movie, not just added the black girl's bossy. Like, that's not what I'm saying. And if you get that from that, then you have more problems than I can help. So let's talk about Tabby, right? Girl from Greenleaf. I already have a problem with her character from Greenleaf because in the beginning she's like this, there's this light-skinned girl that comes along and she's like innocent and all cutesy-wootsy, and then you have her and she's her cousin and she's like, you want some drugs? You want some Ritalin? Like, they literally make her a drug dealer basically. And it's like, are you serious? You're gonna have this light-skinned girl? And then later down the line it's like she gets better and then the light-skinned girl's horrible, but they make it seem like, oh, if it wasn't for this dark-skinned girl bringing her down the road of degradation, it's like, nah, she brought herself down the road of degradation, but whatever. So Tabby has this same no meat issue. I like that she steps up as leader, but she doesn't get a family. I expected to see her family, mother and father, you know? Like I said, I would have been annoyed to see a grandma, a single mom, or, you know, like those families where there's a lot of siblings. Like Monster High has, what's her face? Claudine have like 30,000 siblings and she's supposed to be black. Like, don't tell me she's not black. She's not Asian. Claudine's not Asian. She speaks in like she speaks straight up with the accent. She speaks with it. So don't give me that crap. She's black. Her brother plays basketball. That's what y'all wanted. Y'all wanted us to associate that family with black people. Even though the black people should have been, the Egyptians. But whatever. It's pretty interesting that Cleo Denial is like the whitest of the whole cast other than Abby Abominable. And Abby Abominable's blue. But I digress. I would totally talk about Monster High. I love Monster High. I may make a video about Monster High. Like that stuff I was talking about before, each is a microaggression. Her struggle could have been like mixed parents. She talks about wanting more black friends, but she makes no effort to achieve this. So why have her say it? Again, equality doesn't mean you have a little sprinkle black people here and that's it. That's it. We're done. You have to actually have the experience put there. That's why you have to have black people behind the scenes. See, you see the conundrum you put yourself in when you don't have ethnic people behind the scenes, but you try to throw up ethnic people on the silver screen and then say that's equal. Do you see that? But anyway, the adoption thing comes out of nowhere. The climax is super rushed, but it would have been better if the movie followed all the witches and their family woes, so the coming back together seemed more natural. The soundtrack is really weird. There's just a time where it's like, like someone's getting choked. It's real straight. It's okay. Like, what on earth? Like, am I watching? And then there's this scene where the brother is just like listening to like torture, like videos or something. It's just like, what on earth? Like, they don't even explain that. Like, they say, like, you can just infer that the father is abusive, but you just see him, like, have this little sewing circle of incels that don't even get chairs. They just stand up in their living room and snap after he says something. It's like a cult, except cults actually look better than this. Like, this is the poor man's cult. They don't even have chairs. They're just standing up. It's comical, really. It's really comical. Like, this is more of a comedy. It's kind of sad. That's why I'm really offended, because they pride themselves of having all these Wiccan people on set for what? For what? Because no one talks about their past. Nancy comes at the end. Spoiler. But like, for what? Why do you have people that are for different ethnicities and different Wiccan, different witchcraft stuff if you're not going to talk about anything? Like, you're not going to talk about Salem. You're not going to talk about, because you got these Anglo-Saxon girls, you put in some Salem. But no, you don't, because it's like, I really don't know why. Y'all literally sold this movie on name. If y'all wanted it to be something different, don't call it The Craft. If I wanted to make a Mortal Kombat movie, but it was a soap opera, I would be in the wrong, because I know Mortal Kombat is a fighter game. I would be in the wrong. I don't care whose art is only subjective when you don't use someone else's art to justify your art. So, like I said, if I wanted to make a movie or something about something that already exists and has existed for a very long time, and then I say, well, this is this, it's just not this, it's not this, and I need to call it something else. I need to stop piggyback. You freaking piggybacked off of The Craft, and you made all this money because you had it for sale for $20.99 on Cox Cable for like months, and you're selling it on the Prime without, like, you have to buy it. I don't even think you can watch it if you've got the Prime. I'm never going to get that Amazon Prime crap, by the way. The only thing that makes it worth it is that whole shipping thing, but I still get my boxes. I don't need no Amazon Prime. I get my boxes. I can wait a couple days. I don't wait until I'm all out of something before I deliver something to my house. And if I do, you know what? I'll get myself up and I'll put a mask on and I'll go to Walmart. I don't need your Amazon Prime. But you know what? I got it. I went on there and I saw and I noticed that y'all have a bunch of movies that you have to still buy despite buying it. Like, Netflix is never going to go out of style. The only way it's going to go out of style is if we have to buy anything else. We should be able to get a subscription, and that's the end of story. That's the end of the story. Like, that should be it. That should be case closed. That should be the book is closed and the spine is back stretched out. But let me digress. I'm so sorry. When Lily knocks people over, their response isn't rational. So the first time she does it, she knocks over this dude who's bullying her, which I hate when the girls fall in love with the bully, because it's just like, are you serious? He was bullying you. He was calling you names. He was like being horrible to you, and you gonna like him just because he's under some spell that you put on him? Simp? Simp, 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 simp. So, like I said, she knocks that dude over. It's like 10 feet away. She knocks him 10 feet past. And then the teacher's like, principal's office, both of you. What? First of all, both of you. He put his arms around her. He was touching her, first of all. So it's like, okay, I understand if he goes to the principal's office, but how did they know that she did that when her arms were clutching books or something? She didn't touch him. She literally didn't lay a finger on him. And everyone saw that. People should be like, who's got magic? How'd you do that? But whatever. And the next time she does it, it's on her mom, and they make it seem like she pushed her with her hands. And it's like, we don't know at the time that they both know about magic, but everything doesn't make sense if they know about magic. Nothing in this movie makes any sense. The only thing that makes sense, that everyone knows, that the father and the mother knows that there's magic, is the fact that this incel loser can make a penny off of talking to incels and inspiring them to do what? Hate women more? Like, they don't have to pay you to do that. So I don't know how you can buy that big old huge house that can house 3 kids and a stepdaughter. Okay. So they make it seem like the smallest girl on the cast is strong enough to like push the tallest guy. Like, they literally, like the Vance Vaughn situation, like, they have this super tall dude and then the shortest girl on the cast kiss him. Like, I'm starting to think it's something else, and I don't want to think it's something else, but it's getting there. I'm like, what? Like, y'all need to stop. So Tabby asks if they're any better than Lily because she does her magic. She like keeps doing her magic without the group, and their whole thing is, oh, we do the magic together. We know what we do. We have to make sure we keep on focus and stuff like that. She does stuff out of that, which would add to the fact that they could exclude her and be like, you know what, you need to get out. We don't need you anymore, because they were already friends, by the way. They were already friends. They don't need her. So they could kick her out and she could turn evil that way. Lily should have been evil, just saying. Lily, it would have been a red herring to have the father be that way, but she could have been something. She could have killed him by accident. He could have been just some pathetic incel with no powers, and she could have killed him. And it would have made him a tad bit more like we could care about his death, you know? But nope. I can't believe that Tabitha asks if they're better. Of course they're better than Lily. She indirectly kills Timmy. He says he's gay, but he says he likes both. But he's conflicted. He was with a guy. So it's just like, he felt like it was, the way he was talking seemed like he was more passionate about the guys that he was with, the guy he was with, than the girls he was with. He said the girls, like, they were just nothing. I think he was completely gay. Not that bisexual guys can't exist. I'm saying that this guy probably was more gay. So I don't understand why she would be like, well, fall in love with me. You know what I mean? Like, he could have liked her, but he didn't. She literally did the spell to where he would like her. And I thought he committed suicide because he was conflicted within himself. But it's later revealed that the dad killed him. It's just like, how did you know that he was under a spell? And if you knew that he was under a spell, why didn't you do some spell to stop her spell? Why didn't you bind her yourself? There's just a lot of questions. He should not have been a warlock. Too many questions arise when he has magic. It just makes no sense. I feel like the ending was very convoluted and made absolutely no sense. Like, so they bind her magic and their own magic, even though they didn't kill anyone, and they were still following the rules of magic. So, but don't worry, guys, it's only for 2 seconds. Never keep your child from their birth powers. If your kid is a fire thrower, you need to teach that kid how to throw fire properly. Like, it's like every villain happens because they don't know their power. But she doesn't become a villain. It would make more sense if she became a villain, but she doesn't. She does not. I don't know what she becomes because everyone, all's well ends well, guy's dead, and how does his sons survive? He had a minor son in the house, and he had two other sons that look like adults, but I think they were kids, so if they're all minors, who's going to raise them? Is the mom going to raise them now? Do they know about magic? Who knows? Tune in next year. Like, tune in 50 years from now when they make a 2 of this movie, and everyone's going to be too grown up to do anything, so it's going to be another reboot that secretly has another ending that connects to the last one. But, like, that "you can trust me" thing, that whole scene where it was like the transformation, I thought that was cool, but it was too fast. He turned into her, the mom, and then he turned back into himself too quickly. It should have been a longer time of him doing that. And they retcon, like, they don't even talk about really where the mom is at this time. Oh, he said, oh, she's tied up. Like, how is she tied up? Why don't you just use magic to make her sleep? Why don't you just use magic to make her blind to your actions? See, the reason why he can't be a warlock? Because you start asking these questions, like, why doesn't he just use magic instead of tying her up? What are they going to call the cops? Because he literally tied her up. It's not like he did magic. If he did magic, it would be harder for them to call the cops. If she's got bruises on her arms and mouth because she was tied up, I'm pretty sure she can tell the cops that. And he can go to jail. But they don't do that. The Ouija board situation needs to be out of the situation. Like, the end where she's like, help me, I need help, when she uses the Ouija board. I don't think that that's cool. I think they should have used telepathy, like they were talking about using telepathy in the beginning. Like, why don't they use telepathy? They only use it like once to tell her to go to the bathroom. She doesn't even go to the bathroom. They go outside and they see her. But yeah. The father says women with magic are weak, but he wants Lily's powers and says the girls are too weak to use the powers against each other, but they literally do. They literally bind their own powers. That's using it against each other. So I don't, like, not only is this incel, like, a loser and weak, he's also stupid. Like, why was that even in the script? Who made this? See, when women make, like, stuff, we have to be, like, 10 billion times better, because if there was a guy that was angry enough about this movie, that I'm pretty sure not, because The Craft is really more like a woman's thing. Like, it's like I said, women empowerment. No, like quarter of a man isn't going to review The Craft and be like, The Craft was subpar, with his big old chubby bush mouth cheeks. He probably doesn't care about The Craft or the next. He's probably just going to be like, get woke, go broke, when literally I'm pretty sure they made a lot of money on this movie. Because people want the next magical thing. Like, they want the next, everybody's always going to be interested in magic, regardless of what generation watches this movie. But, so, when the father does get Lily and knock her out after he transforms into her mom and turns back into himself, she wakes up like in a dark place. And also, I hate when the movie's too dark to see things. Like, I know I can turn off my lights, but, like, if you make it that way, it's really ridiculous. You're just making it for the movies. When people watch it at their house, like, you could really calm that down. That whole thing, I think this was an alternate ending, because this ending really doesn't make any sense. His plan was to punch her in the face and beat the magic out of her. Like, what was his plan? He straight up was about to punch her until she froze time. And the binding, like I said, isn't done long enough to make a difference or matter, because the girls pull up and they got magic and they try to attack him and stuff. The magic was way less janky and convoluted in the original. Way less janky and convoluted in the original. Spells were cast like you got what you asked for and you paid for it. Easy yet mysterious law of equal exchange, you know? Like Full Metal Alchemist, like, you can't make something out of nothing. That was easy. So Rachel, in the first one, somebody was being racist to her, and they were talking about, oh, you got nappy hairs. Saying a black girl has nappy hairs is racist. When black people say to other black people, it's horrible. I don't say anyone's hair is nappy. That's just not that's not something we should say, or anyone should say. That's just something that people have said over the years to black people, black women in particular, because any guys can just walk out the house and not be told nothing. Girls have to be on fleek 24/7. And she said that, so she got a piece of her hair, because you need something from somebody's body to do something to them, which is another reason why I don't understand why the father didn't just do a spell to bind the daughter. But whatever. She does a spell and her hair starts falling out. The girl that's being racist to Rachel. And it keeps happening. Like she just wanted her to suffer a little bit, but she just like suffers a whole bunch and she can't take it anymore. And she's just like, things are happening and they get repercussions. Like bad things start happening and it's more than what they ask for, but they get what they ask for. In this movie, she can just put her finger on fire and burn something out of her locker. And why on earth would her locker say her name, Tabby, is a whatever it said, and like not even talk about that? Like there's no even storyline or situation in which she's put into a position to where anyone would think she was a skank or anything otherwise. Like there's no scenes of her being with guys or being with one guy and him saying, oh, you know what? Well, they just, and that's interesting. It's just like they insinuate that Timmy was with Tabby because she's like, oh, he's hurt us one of us in more than one ways or whatever. In the beginning, she talks about how they all talk about how Timmy was mean to them one day or another, but they don't explain what it is. And if you don't know the first one, you're not going to get the connection between when Sarah was with the guy who he went and told everyone he slept with her, when he did the same thing to Nancy and he gave Nancy a STD or something. I think she had an STD from him. But that happened, but nothing like that. Timmy they don't make it seem like Timmy did anything like that to them. And if he went around saying that she was a skank, she most definitely wouldn't have accepted a spell where he's just his better self. But whatever, I'm glad that they didn't make her vengeful, even though I don't understand why black people can't be vengeful without being bitter. Why can't we be vengeful like white people can be vengeful, like Asian people can be vengeful? Half of Asian media is revenge, you know what I mean? Like there's revenge movies, the Korean revenge movies, like that's so cool. But black people can't be vengeful unless people say, oh, bitter. Like, but I understand that exists, so I'm not advocating for Tabby to have been vengeful against Timmy. But I am saying that it would have been better. It would have been a lot nicer situation other than what we got. That crap. This is crap, guys. This is bad. This is a bad movie. Anyone who defends this movie is like, it's hard to take people seriously when they say, well, you need to separate this movie from what it's called. Even though it's called Scooby-Doo and there's no dog and there's no Mystery Incorporated and there's no anything, it's about a chicken crossing the road. You can't say that it's not Scooby-Doo because you can't say that, like, shut up. Yes, if something's called something, I expect it to be that thing. If it's Death Note, I expect it to be like Death Note. I don't expect it to be a different rendition secretly in some secret society place. It should be Death Note because it's called Death Note. But let me roll that back. Let me roll that beautiful bean footage. This incel is stupid, like I said. And this nighttime fallout that happens is dumb, and I wish the aura magic was explained or talked about more than 2 seconds. It really mattered in the end. Like, they glow and then it's like everything happens, but it's just like they don't talk. They just say in passing, yeah, somebody taught me how to do aura. Like, okay, like in passing. That doesn't help. That doesn't help the case of people falling out of love with magic. People fall out of love with magic when they don't understand things. People are afraid. They are afraid of different ethnicities, different structures, different societies, different people, because they are afraid. That's why it's called homophobia. It's a phobia. It's a fear of the it's associated with the fear of the unknown. So when you put in movies and you pride yourself with having all these Wiccan people dealing with this movie and understanding what's going on in the magic of it all and using real things, and then you just say snippet this little aura magic, you don't even explain. There's things in Chinese culture that have to do with, in the there's Hindu culture. There could have been someone who was Hindu and did some magic like that. Like, y'all had such an opportunity to get this right. You didn't have to have a single Anglo-Saxon on set, on deck. Could have been one Asian girl, one black girl, one Indian girl, and I mean Indian, from India, because Indians do not come from America. I will never accept that. You stupid if you say that an Indian exists here that came like Native Americans. They're not Indians. A retarded person said that. And you keep saying that, it will perpetuate the ignorance. And you know what? Come to think of it, how about them apples? Why don't you put a Native American girl in there too? So she can get some Native American magic. So we can learn about other cultures. You uncultured swines only believe that witches come from Salem. Pathetic. Like, they come from everywhere. Y'all think that magic only happened in New Orleans. Y'all also stupid. It's just, it fills me with such rage. Burns inside me because I'm sick of all these Anglo-Saxons being in these, like, Charmed was really great, but it was also three white witches. Y'all Anglo-Saxons don't even believe in magic. How do y'all own the magic? How do y'all own King Arthur and Merlin? How do y'all own Harry Potter? Y'all believe in the Vatican. Y'all believe in miracles and angels and demons. And the demons are the ones that do magic. So why are y'all making money off of demonry? If y'all think that's the demon's work and the devil's work, it's the devil. Why are y'all making bank? Why is Universal Studios the best attraction, Harry Potter's Wizarding World? Why didn't the father teach his sons magic to help him defeat the women? They burned the incel father at the end. And what happens to his sons? Did he escape? Did they move? They don't talk about that. How does a woman who knows about magic straight up almost marry an incel warlock? Tell me how that works. And then there's wonky things because he was her for a second. It's just like, how long was she masquerading? He was masquerading as her. How long? No one talks about this stuff. Y'all made this movie on crack because what on earth? There are so many questions. And it's not questions that you get at the end like, oh, what will happen? Tune in next year for another episode of, like, it's not like that. It's like there are plot holes. The difference between setting up a sequel and having plot holes is there are no plot holes in setting up a sequel. How about that? How about just go back to school and learn how to screenwrite? How about go back to school? Because this is insane. What do you mean? Like, a lot of people worked hard. Like, mediocrity doesn't get you stickers, okay? This is mediocre. If you are going to put the craft in your title, you better step up to the craft, all right? This is no one's generation's the craft. This is the poor man's craft. This is the po man's craft. This isn't the poor man's, because no hating on no poor people. This is the po man's craft. I love that Nancy was in this, but I wish the other three were also connected in some way or another, whether one of them died and it was in the newspaper and they saw it, or one of them was mayor, something. I don't care how they did it, because I can't make your movie for you. Aside from the fan service, the end was anticlimactic. My mom loves The Craft, and she was like, what is this? We saw the end and she was like, what is this? And she just rolled over and went to sleep. Like, the end shouldn't have included a reunited circle. Lily should have been angered at them like Nancy was. Not in the sense, because Nancy was with the other girls. They were, Bonnie and Rochelle were both with her, but it could have been the opposite. She could have been alone, in the group could have been against her. Like Sarah was alone, but she was the protagonist. Lily could have been turned real easy into a villain, real easy. She's the only one that's got blood on her hands, other than the father. But the father, in an alternate universe, when this movie was actually good, where this movie is actually good, the father is not a warlock. He's just a regular person that's bummy. He's just a regular person that's bummy. Why can't he just be a regular person? Why did he have to have magic? It really served no purpose. You killed him anyway. What did I like about this movie? The Craft Legacy? Nothing. I'm done. Okay, I'm just kidding, but like, honestly, there's not much to like. The house they're in reminds me of Charmed, the Charmed house. That, if y'all seen Charmed, it's a really recognizable house if you've seen like 30 billion episodes of that thing, like I did. Fun fact, the original used the intro music to Charmed. It's like, Nancy said one sentence. That was fun. That one sentence that Nancy said, "Can I help you?" That was it. That was all she got paid for. She got paid top bill to say, "Can I help you?" She got paid to come back to say, "Can I help you?" That. The girl from Greenleaf was able to not be a dark-skinned foil to a light-skinned black girl, but she was forced to only befriend these Anglo-Saxons without an explanation or a reason why. Like, why couldn't she have more black friends? Why'd she even have to say, "I want more black friends"? Like, there was no scenes of her trying to make friends with black people. And then how she loves Beyonce. She doesn't like Beyonce. She loves Beyonce. Why did the black girl have to talk about Beyonce? Huh? The incel died, but he didn't like scream, which makes me think he's still alive. So are his sons like adopted? Like I said, like they up in the air. Who knows? Tune in next time. Love to see trans women in movies, always. But I am not happy to see that her story was forced. If she was in a relationship, the situation would have been far more natural. Instead, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I don't bleed," but trans, like, she totally, like, they slide in that she's trans because she says, "Oh, I don't bleed," and I heard it, and I was like, wait a second. And then she's like, "Well, I'm trans, I'm a trans queen," and I'm like, that's not natural speech. No one does that. I don't say black on, like, just with regular, like, unironically, no. Like, it was real strange. The chemistry with them is real strange. Why didn't they hang out before they started making this movie? I don't know. Skype, something. Something? The chemistry is real bad, so it's like real bad everything all around. It's hard, and it's just like they don't get to talk by themselves. Like I said, Tabby is their speaker, and they just sit there, and sometimes they look and talk one sentence, but they're not really independent thinkers. They're always right next to Tabby. The only time the transgender girl gets a scene is when a gay guy is being bullied, and then she turns the guy who's being the bully, his overshirt colorful like rainbows, and then the gay guy starts laughing. Like, I would be like, who's doing magic? These muggles, man. What on earth? What do you mean? Why are you laughing? If that happened before your eyes, you're gonna laugh? And what is so funny about the rainbow? You gay. What is so funny? Like, like, why on earth did she do that? Like, that just doesn't, I don't know. Like I said, the way of her coming out as trans, if she even had to even talk about it in this movie, because it wasn't, like I said, I hate it when a minority or someone, it's everything that they are is what they are. Like, an Asian girl always has to talk about how Asian she is, or a black guy has to talk always about how black he is. Like, Kevin Hart always has to talk about how black he is in every movie he's in. It's really getting old and disgusting. She could have talked about her being trans while she's exploring a love interest. Like I said, Timmy should have been her boyfriend. And then Lily could have probably did a spell to where he liked her and not Lord. And that could have been the catalyst that made her against her. But Tabby could have already been against her from the beginning. She could have been like, I knew there was something about you that we shouldn't have invited. Like, something to where they have a natural break off. Her doing the spell and him dying is like, okay, but it's like, he just died. Why would they separate from her? They would be closer even though he died. They don't do the whole breaking apart and falling back together was very convoluted and garbage. Like to see bisexual man. Kind of hate to see when bisexual women are in movies because they've been fetishized to the extreme. So I'm glad that there's a guy in here. The craft book in the movie, I believe, was written by the same girl in the original, Sarah, as it advises the witch to bind any witch who uses her powers for evil, basically. Despite the annoying end to the Avatar Last Airbender, when Aang will kill anyone who takes Appa or does him wrong, he's going to take Ozai's bending away despite him being a murderer and killer and killing everybody and horrible things and destroyed Zuko's face. The witches should have really pulled a bind the spell on the father, the incel father, because how did they explain his death to his 3 sons? They burned him to a crisp. Supposedly he's a famous speaker, inspirational speaker. If you're an inspirational speaker, a lot of people know you. More than 100 people know your name. Just saying. Did he escape? Is he still doing his job? There was no, even if it'd be cool if there was an ending. I didn't sit long enough to see the ending. Maybe there was a final scene where he's like talking to his incel brothers and they're like snapping like they're in some mocha hot coffee place while they're doing poems. They didn't even have chairs, but whatever. The girls are diverse in a lot of ways. The original craft didn't need to be diverse because, like, they weren't horrible. They weren't horrible and they weren't racist. There was racist people in the movie, but nobody was racist like that. I did expect the black girl to get more of a story. I wish they were able to be individuals like the original. Most scenes are Lily living her life and then 3 other girls. Like I said, none of them have desires they actually actively try to achieve. There's a scene where they all tell like 2 truths and a lie, and Timmy kind of hijacks the moment by coming out. So they bury their gay. Once again, society, like, once again, burying your gay is when you have a gay character and you kill them off. And it's kind of like when you kill off the first person and it's a black person, except it's like happens a lot more now than the black person dying, because they barely have black people in scary movies. But the whole thing about it is they'll do it off screen and it'll be just like, oh well, he didn't even deserve to die on screen. And I'm not saying I wanted his arms to be sliced like Hannah freaking Baker inside the toilet, but I did like want to see something like he just died off screen and there was no climax to that. It was just out of really nowhere. The magic was a tad too whimsical for me. The original had more realism. Nancy is the only murderer, and Lily indirectly leads to Timmy's death, like I said. But she doesn't feel any ill will against the circle for binding her powers when she could have used it against the guy that was attacking her. It would have been cool if Lily had like a 3 versus 1 with Tabby, Frankie, and Lord. The opposite of Sarah versus Nancy, Rochelle, and Bonnie. Eventually, it could have been just Lily and Tabby, as she seems like the leader, making the group's decisions to ignore Lily and bind all their powers when they didn't have to. They could have just did Lily's, but of course, I don't know. Lily could have escaped by disappearing out of her clothes, because they keep showing her naked for some reason. I really don't know why she has to be naked. They make her naked like one too many times in this movie. But she could have disappeared out of her clothes, and like the same family reunion thing could have happened with Nancy, but Tabby could have been the anti-hero for the sequel, looking for what's her face so that she could kill her or bind her powers, because she doesn't have anything of hers to bind her powers with. But I can't make your movies for you if I'm not on the payroll, you know? Overall, Wicca isn't that big of a deal in Legacy like the original. Disappointing reboot sequel, very rushed twist. Lily should have had to search more for her adoption papers. Like, if the deal was she could never learn of her origins, why keep the papers, like, right there under her name? Like, if you wanted it in some safe box, put it in some safe box. And I know she's got powers so she can undo it, but why would she go in there? There would have to be a reason. You would have to do something to make her have a reason. She just kind of searches and finds it. Like, okay. And here's a sidebar. The Greenleaf Girl said in an interview, "Oh, this craft is for our generation." And I'm like, nah, girl. I'm 23 years old. You're 22 years old. The craft was made in 1998. You were born in 1996. You don't have to grow up so fast, dude. You could have watched this craft a week before this thing came out, and it would have still been your craft. This craft is not for you. It's for the little like loser kids below us. It's not for us. Just saying. Just because you're in it doesn't mean it's for us. Because you and I are on the same caliber. You're 22. You're 1 year younger than me. Congratulations. But we're still in the same peer group. And this is not my craft. You must be crazy. I'll do you one better. You were the best actress in this movie. The rest of your co-stars were really bad compared to you. I really wanted you to be the main character. But of course they're not going to let a black girl be the main character. They have to have some Anglo-Saxon girl. They couldn't even have the transgender girl be the main character. They had to have the Anglo-Saxon girl. Other girl kind of looks like she's got something in her, maybe Hispanic. But they don't really talk about it. Why, like I said, why bring up bloodlines if it doesn't matter for anybody but one person? Final notes. Not enough Wiccan scenes, all made into a montage, like the whole levitating light as a feather, stiff as a board thing. Like, y'all just keep it there. It's kind of pathetic. Again, I'm going to say it's not good. This craft, I don't know who it's for, because the school aspect is kind of dropped midway through the thing. Like, Lily is in detention, right, for knocking this dude 10 feet away from her without touching him, and asks to go to the bathroom. The teacher says, "Hurry back," and she just leaves. But she gets in trouble for pushing the boy in the first place when, first of all, 10 feet away, like I said, and she skipped detention. So if men are so strong and women are so weak, why would it matter if she pushed him anyway? He should just get up, suck it up, buttercup. And I really don't feel that way personally, but I do feel that way to incels that think that women are weak and men are strong. If you think that men are so strong, then it don't matter that she pushed you. Get back up. She's a woman. She weak then. But whatever. The shape-shifting was not good. It wasn't used not nearly as long enough for it to matter. Like, it could have been out for as much as it was in. This movie is a bad sequel, not so bad reboot. But if you have to completely, like, remove the existence of the source material to enjoy a movie, it's a bad movie. And you need to make your own story. How about that? How about stop taking people's stuff that's already been made and trying to monopolize on the fact that there's an audience for it, and make your own crap. But that'll do it. I just had to do this. I had to talk about this movie because it was just like, I had to, the moment I saw it, I was like, I know I gotta make a video, because $20 to buy that crap? You think I'm gonna buy that crap? The only person who's worth even looking at in this movie is the black girl. It's Tabby. That's it. She's the best actress. You didn't get no good actresses. And it's like, y'all completely omit the transgender girl on the cable thing. Maybe it's a mistake, but you know what? Y'all love to make mistakes when it's a minority. Y'all love to make them. Y'all love to make it when it's a girl. Y'all love to make it when it's a black person, Asian person, Hispanic person. Oops, sorry, we made oopsies. But that's it. I highly recommend the craft first one. I highly recommend to burn the second one. And maybe fast forward through all the scenes and just look at the black girls thing, because I really do like her as an actress. She really got me to not like her on Greenleaf. But she's also really good on Greenleaf. She gets a redemption arc, and then the light-skinned girl kind of goes down the road of degradation on her own, mind you. But that'll do it. That's it. Subscribe, like, and share. Happy New Year if I don't make another video between now and then.